Let's talk about a priceless resource, one that's literally disappearing right under our feet. And the thing is, we're paying for its loss in ways we probably don't even realize. Today, we're digging into a huge report from Italy's Environmental Protection Agency to uncover a quiet crisis, the relentless paving over of the country's soil.
So let's just start with a number that should honestly stop you in your tracks. 19.9 hectares. That is the amount of natural living land that Italy lost to concrete and asphalt just yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that. It's the daily pace of a massive transformation that's happening all around us.
19.9 hectares might sound a little abstract, so let's put it this way. That's like 28 soccer fields. Imagine them, all lined up, just gone, paved over. Now get this, that happens again tomorrow, and the day after that. This isn't just building a few new things. This is a permanent loss of a living resource, and it is happening at a truly staggering rate.
Okay, so you hear this term soil consumption, but what are we actually talking about? It's not just, building a new house or putting in a new road. The reality is something way more permanent and honestly way more serious.
And this is the part that is so important. We are talking about an irreversible act. Once you seal soil under concrete, it's gone. For good. Its ability to grow food, to soak up rainwater, to support life, to cool the air, all of that is lost forever. It is a one-way street, and there's no going back.
To really get our heads around what's being lost, we need to look a little closer at the land itself. You see, there's a really important difference between what's physically on the ground and what we humans do on it.
Think about it this way. Land cover is the physical stuff. Is it a forest, a field, or is it a parking lot? Land use is what we decide to do there. Is it residential, industrial, agricultural? The crisis we're talking about isn't just about changing the land's use. It's about fundamentally changing its cover from something that's alive and breathes to something that is sterile and sealed off forever.
So if we're losing this much land every single day, you gotta ask, where is it all going? Who or what is driving this massive expansion of concrete? Well, let's break down the data.
All right, here are the heavy hitters. You can see that construction sites for future projects make up the biggest piece of the pie. That's followed by new buildings, and then, and this one might surprise you, large ground-based solar farms. But there's another driver that's been picking up speed like crazy recently.
You know it. The explosion of e-commerce has a very real physical footprint. All those packages delivered to your door have to come from somewhere, right? Well, that somewhere is massive warehouses and logistics hubs. In just the last year, that industry ate up over 500 hectares of land. That's more than 700 soccer fields, just for logistics, in 1 year.
Okay, and this is where the story gets really complicated. Because we all want clean energy, we all want to move away from fossil fuels. But this report points to a pretty uncomfortable paradox in how we're trying to get there.
So get this, in our rush to build a green future, we might actually be creating another big environmental problem. Last year, almost 10% of all agricultural land that was paved over was for new ground-based solar panels. But here's the absolute kicker. The report calculates that there's already enough empty rooftop space on existing buildings to meet those exact same energy goals. We could do it without taking a single extra square meter of soil. It's a classic case of unintended consequences.
So far, we've been talking about soccer fields and percentages. But what is the actual cost? I mean, can you even put a price tag on losing the very ground beneath our feet? The report tries to, but it starts with a really important warning.
The authors of the report basically say, hey, we're about to give you a number, but be careful. Putting a price on nature helps us understand the scale of what we're losing, but it's dangerous because it can make us think that nature is just another commodity we can buy and sell. So, with that in mind, the economic estimate is just jaw-dropping.
9.1 billion euros. That is the estimated price tag every single year for the services nature used to provide for free on the land we've paved over since 2006. And this isn't a one-time thing. It's a bill that comes due year after year after year.
So what exactly are we losing that's worth so much? Well, look at this breakdown. The overwhelming majority, over 8 billion euros a year, is from losing the soil's ability to manage water and prevent floods. It's simple. When you pave over a sponge, the water has nowhere to go. So we are literally paying, through disaster relief and expensive infrastructure, for a service that the earth used to give us for free.
And, the costs aren't just financial.
This relentless paving of our world has direct physical impacts on the safety and the quality of life for millions of us, especially if you live in a city.
I'm sure you've felt this. You walk downtown on a hot summer day, and it feels like you've stepped into an oven. That is the urban heat island effect. Dark surfaces like asphalt and concrete just soak up the sun's energy all day and then radiate it back out as heat, making the whole city hotter than the surrounding countryside.
And it's not just a feeling, it's a measurable fact. Just look at Milan. On a typical summer day, the temperature in the city center can be almost 7 degrees Celsius hotter than it is just outside the city. That is the difference between a really hot day and a dangerously, life-threateningly hot day, all because of what we chose to cover the ground with.
And it is not just the heat. We are actively, knowingly building our way into danger. Almost 13% of all developed land in Italy is already in a medium-risk flood zone. And what's truly unbelievable is that in just the last year, we went ahead and paved over another 1,100 hectares in those exact same risky areas. Think about that. We are making the problem worse on two fronts, removing the natural defense against floods while putting more buildings and more people right in harm's way.
Okay, the picture so far is pretty grim, I know. But it does raise the most important question of all. Can we stop this? Is there a path to zero new soil consumption? Well, the European Union has actually laid out a strategy, and it's based on a pretty simple logical idea.
The strategy is basically a checklist, a hierarchy of priorities. Number 1, the absolute top priority is just don't do it. Avoid taking new soil in the first place. If you absolutely have to build, then number 2 is to reuse land that's already developed. Think old factory sites or abandoned lots. If you can't do that, then minimize the damage by using land that's already in bad shape. And only as the absolute last resort should you take new land, and if you do, you have to compensate for it by restoring soil somewhere else. It's a roadmap to building smarter. And that really brings us to the final, crucial question. This report lays out a very stark choice. Italy, and honestly many other countries, can just keep on paving over its most valuable natural asset for what seems like short-term gain. Or it can choose a totally different path, one of regeneration, of reuse, of building on what's already there. The answer to that question is going to define the health, the safety, and the prosperity of its future.